We're going to call the meeting to order, and my clock says it's 12:59. So we'll get going and call the meeting to order, and present with me are Amanda Williamson, Mayor Shoemaker, and we have regrets from, is there a pen? Would we have to share it now?
I probably put 2 pens available.
Yeah. We have regrets from, thank you, Joe Greco, Marchie Bruni. Also present are staff, Lisa Hodgkinson, the chief and the deputy chief, and our finance people, and some other, and Lincoln and Sarah. So thank you for joining this afternoon. Joining me today is a guest that's going to speak to one of the items. Her name is Constance Manitowabi. I asked Constance, I think she's on, right, Lisa?
Yep, she's there.
Constance, I was going to call on her actually to do the territorial acknowledgement, if that's okay with everyone, because I think she brings a little different perspective to it today. Constance, are you able to unmute, and do you mind doing the territorial acknowledgement for us?
No, I don't mind at all. I'm honored, actually. And yes, I'm all set whenever you are.
Thank you. We're good.
Okay. Ani bojo nin wapshka makwa indigenous makwa ndodem. Wikwem kong ndonjaba. Meanwhile, bawating ndonji. Anishinaabe kwe ndao. Jaganashi knows when. Constance Manitowabi. I'm very honored to be here with you at this time, and I would like to acknowledge that we are here in Bawating. It is also known as the heart of Turtle Island, and it is also known as a traditional gathering place of Anishinaabeg people, Three Fires people, and for as far as I've read in some books written by Jesuit journals, the early 1600s. And at that time in the journals, it's showing and saying that Anishinaabeg people would travel from a long ways to gather here to do their annual trade, their annual ceremony, and of course their fishing on the waters. So that's dating back to the early 1600s. And so I would like to acknowledge that we were here on this territory, also known as the Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory of the 1850. We're also here on this land that our Anishinaabeg people and our settler brothers and sisters fought for the War of 1812. And we were able to do that successfully, and that's why we're able to call this place Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. There's some very important historical happenings that are a part of this beautiful area that we are here gathered today, that I just wanted to acknowledge briefly. In doing the land acknowledgements, I always like to add that a land acknowledgement, they first came from a traditional practice that Anishinaabeg people and Indigenous people have done from the beginning of time immemorial, from the beginning of just who they are. And I'm saying this not only for Anishinaabeg people, but also Indigenous people all across the world. I've gotten to travel in some places like Australia and Bali and Hawaii and Mexico. And the Indigenous people that I meet there, they do this acknowledgement in the same way, where what a territorial acknowledgement is when we're introducing ourselves. We're introducing ourselves to say who it is that we are. and who is it that we are also a part of? And where is it that we come from? And then so that we greet each other that way with a history that is also a part of how we meet. And then so in some acknowledgements, you would hear people that they would also acknowledge their parents and their grandparents and their great-grandparents on both sides of their mother and their father. And then they would talk about the communities that they came from. And then just briefly, I'd just like to mention that my mom was from Chiging First Nations on Manitoulin Island, and her mom was from Sagamuk First Nations that's on the Huron shores here. My dad is from Wakwamacong First Nations, which is Manitoulin Island, and his dad was from Wakwamacong, Manitoulin Island. And the Manitowabi family also stems from Michigan. And that's why we call ourselves the Three Fires people as well too, that gather in and are a part of this land that we acknowledge as the heart of Turtle Island. Those Three Fires people are called Potawatomi, Odawa, and the Ojibwe. That they have a confederacy that they've created in an alliance to live as people supporting one another. So when I acknowledge the territorial acknowledgement, and then when I encourage other people who do their territorial acknowledgement in their meetings, that they consider how much of that they can do, because that's a part of building a foundation for a working relationship, is to acknowledge who we are and where we come from and how it is that we're meeting. So with that, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen to these words that I share with you on our territorial acknowledgement, and a little bit of a history and a teaching with that as well. Miigwech.
Thank you, Constance. Thank you very much. If you can just stay with us, I'll do a couple of preliminary items and then we can move to you. Constance is actually in another conference, or she'd be with us in person. So if it's okay with the rest of the board, I'm going to do a couple of introductory things and then I'm going to move on to that item, please. So are there any conflicts of interest today? I don't see any. May I have a motion to accept the open agenda of June 24th, please? Amanda, Matt?
Just a
Yeah.
correction. We've got her as Candace Manitowoc. It's Constance.
Yes, yeah, it'll be corrected.
Thanks, Matt. And we're going to move on to the consent agenda momentarily, but this is the point at which I would like to bring forward item 8, which is the elder advisor. And we're lucky again to have Constance Manitowabi here. I asked Constance to come and just give sort of an overview as to some of the areas in which she thought such a position might be beneficial. And I'll just remind everyone what the thinking of this was. I've done a little bit more work on this since it was first raised at this table. And the idea is that we would have an elder Indigenous advisor at the table at every meeting. It would be a position that would be there would be payment for it. It wouldn't be a volunteer position. Obviously, this person is not a board member. They give advice. I kind of made it analogous to Angela's position, that Angela's not a board member, but she knows finance and she gives us advice. Sometimes she's got reports. Sometimes other issues come up and we just ask her for her direction. So I think that there's a big component of the position that would look like that. I have found in my own professional life, particularly after having intersected with Constance Manitowabi, who's out of my office, that my approach to business and law in particular has changed. I do things differently. It's a more considered approach. It's a more deliberate approach and it's a more thoughtful approach. And I attribute that to Constance and her teaching me so much about an Indigenous approach to problem solving and to the world. And then finally, and possibly most importantly, just looking at some statistics before I came to you today, about the gross saturation of Indigenous people in our prison system in Canada. And this is probably not news to the police, but it certainly was news to me as a layperson that, yes, I appreciate that the majority of, or that there's a gross misrepresentation of Indigenous males in the criminal justice system. Just before we came here, I was trying to find this statistic. We had a young researcher in our office that provided the information, but I can't put my finger on it. But the actual saturation is women. When you have Indigenous women that are charged, the times that they actually end up convicted and serving a sentence is almost 10 times higher than it is for non-Indigenous women. So what's happening there? Is that a prejudice? Is that a systemic racism? Is it a targeting? Is it a problem within Indigenous women and the community? I don't know. But it sure makes me concerned, and I'm acutely concerned sitting on this board as chair. I thought having an Indigenous advisor at the table would give us a little bit of a fuller outlook. Also, the numerous conferences I've been privileged to attend, always had the opportunity to speak to other police agencies and ask them what they think. And time and again, I hear, what's the downside? How could it hurt? Won't it just give you a broader perspective? But again, I have a limited lens, so I'm going to ask my friend and colleague, Constance, if she has any comments that might help this board make a decision and fill in what that position looks like. Thank you, Constance.
Thank you, Nuala. And thank you to everybody who is sitting around the table and on Zoom here with us. I'd like to acknowledge each and every one of you. I may not know you personally. However, I could say that I would like to acknowledge the value of the work that you're doing around this table. The board, it's the police board. Is that what it is?
Yes,
It is the
it's
police
the
board.
Municipal Police Board. That's right.
Municipal Police Board. So that's a really huge and important table that influences and impacts our community at various levels. The decisions and the conversations that are made at such a table at times can be very weighing. And then at times it can be, we're all human. And in being human, there's times that maybe we might be experiencing more, I'm just going to use the word stress, more weight on us at times. And when I think about having a position such as an Indigenous advisory person, is that in past experience in seeing these positions in other boards and larger government groups and tables, that this person is most often an elder. And an elder, in my eyes, is somebody who's thoughtfully living their life. They're at a time and a place in their life where they've gained the skills of very insightful reflection. And we're told in our Anishinaabe teachings that there's 2 times in our life where we are most closest to this spiritual guidance with all of creation. And I'm not saying this in a way of being religious. I'm saying it in a way of maybe we can think about that. There's a way that we live our life that we know that we're not the one who's in charge. As human beings, as fathers, as mothers, as aunties and uncles, as learners, we're going through life, and I don't know about you, but there's been more than once and many times in my life where I've had to look to something greater than me, something greater than myself. And those two times in life that we are most closest to what we call that spiritual guidance is when we come into this world as babies. And then when we come upon ourselves in our life where we are becoming older in our age. And then those are the two times in our journey as human beings that we are most closely to that guidance and at easy access to it. When we are first born, and then when we're at that, we call it the Western doorway, when we are leaving. So to have somebody that's sitting at the table with you, this is what you're welcoming. You're welcoming a person that would be able to listen in a way that is well-rounded, that is objective, that is even to be able to receive some guidance from that higher place. You have an opportunity to have a person sit there with you in a way that they're able to have that insight of mind, body, spirit, and emotion. That they'll have that thoughtfulness and that objectiveness again to hear all the conversations that are happening. And imagine that you would have that person there that if you ever were in doubt of something, or if you were ever wondering about a position or some information. And so this person is sitting there, I see them sitting there almost like an encyclopedia, a reference for just a whole way of looking at all the information that's needed for the decisions that you're making. Something to consider is it's an opportunity to demonstrate your willingness and your relationship that you'd be building within the initial governance and community. Like imagine that if you put yourself in my shoes as an Indigenous woman who's lived on the reserve and grew up on the reserve and come into mainstream society to experience and want to help and build relationships, and who's been marginalized, who's been silenced, who's been forgotten, and then to be able to say that once you're learning about the truth of Canada, the truth of our nation, Canada, and then they do say that it's a state and not a nation. That's something to learn about. But the thing is that you're asking, you're asking, you're being invited to the table. Like for somebody in a nation of people who've been forgotten and just to be able to I'm getting a little distracted here because I'm hearing some other noise in the background here. Sorry. But what I'm wanting to get across is that as an Anishinaabe person, I think that it would just be holding a huge value and a demonstration of what that value that you have for building relationships with Anishinaabe people who have been forgotten and who are misunderstood. We're not a fighting people. We are a people of peace, and we are a people of equality. We are also a people who are suffering and who are doing their utmost to be able to lift up and stand up, even though the huge amount of barriers and challenges that we are faced by. And it's not at no fault of our own. It's at the experience of history. And we know that we can change history today. And I think that that's what this position would be about. It would be about changing history and making history. And I'm proud of Sault Ste. Marie. I'm proud of Bawating. I was able to help and hold a sunrise ceremony in front of City Hall just not long ago. And I'm so proud to do that because I want to be a part of putting Sault Ste. Marie on the map for being recognized at moving and shaking and making decisions that demonstrate true reconciliation and being able to work as partners in helping to lift Anishinaabe people up because of the numbers that Nuala was mentioning. 49% of Indigenous women are the women that are incarcerated. Out of all of the women that are incarcerated in Canada, 49% of them are women. And our Indigenous population in all of Canada is only 6% of Canada. But yet there's 49% of women that are incarcerated. And for men, it's 32%. 32% of men, Anishinaabe men, Native men are incarcerated. So there's huge work that we need to do. And I'm speaking, and I'm confident about speaking on behalf of the grandmothers, Anishinaabe people, that we want to work with equality and peace and friendship. So I'm hoping I'm saying something that will help to bring some thoughtfulness and value to your decision in having a position such as an Indigenous advisory person to sit with you, to help to guide and be a resource, and bringing a perspective of your decisions that You don't know how helpful they will be until you try. So be curious and maybe give it a try.
Thank you,
Try
Constance.
something new. Okay.
Thank you. Just, if you'll just bear with us for a second in case there's questions, just want to tell anyone that was listening that Constance didn't just go to Hawaii and Bali and Mexico and Chile. She was invited. She's just too humble to say that. She was invited and she was speaking in all of those countries. I've never met somebody that is so intellectual, wise, and humble at the same time. What a beautiful combination. Thank you very much for your words. I'm just going to see if anyone has questions for you, Constance. Is there any questions?
I don't.
No, I think that's it. Constance, thank you very much for joining us. I know you've got, 2 feet in different rooms, so I'll let you go. And thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miigwech.
Miigwech. Do I have to do something here? Or no? Okay, so that was just and I don't think there's anything on our agenda except to provide that presentation. But I guess what I'm seeking is the support of the board. And if I have that, then I'd like to spend the summer working with Lisa to put together a job description and seek expressions of interest. I don't know if I can do that procedurally now because.
So,
Okay, so I guess I'm moving that we be granted the permission to put together a job description that would come back to this board to try and fill that position for the coming term. So I guess I can move that, can I, Matt?
I don't think so. No.
Okay,
But I'm just wondering procedurally there, develop the job description. Stepwise, you probably want to refer it to the finance committee next to build into next year's budget. We could start the hiring process, presuming the board approves it thereafter. But you'll need the line item to be able to pay that person once.
Right.
Yeah, so probably. Yeah, I think what you're looking to do is approve the work to create the job description, refer the cost of it to the finance committee, and then bring a recommendation back to the board on at preliminary budget time, which is in September, is it not?
Yes.
That we approve of? Yeah, so
do I need a preliminary step where I have the board's support in principle before I do that?
I think this does it. Right.
Do we have to vote on that? Then, because I mean, all you have right now is a presentation. I mean, maybe you hated the presentation, like how would that?
I didn't hate the presentation. I definitely want to know what the job description looks like.
Right.
Like I really am intrigued to see what the idea is and what that looks like.
Okay, great. So is that sufficient for you, Lisa, so that we know what we're doing the next couple of steps?
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. Okay, thank you very much.
When it comes back, this probably doesn't have to be in the motion, but when it comes back, what we did at the city is when we had the hiring process for our digital policy advisor,
Yes,
we sought out an Indigenous panel member because we didn't know, the people from HR, the people from community development, the community development department didn't know the appropriate questions to ask for someone who's filling that role. So we sought out the chairperson of the Indigenous Friendship Center, Kathy
oh, yeah,
Surratt,
yeah,
who sat in the interview panel.
beautiful.
It was helpful.
Yeah, that's not bad. I also wouldn't know what an interview looks like for that position. Right?
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And we'll put our heads together. We'll put something forward. I see it more as rather an expression of interest and like, it's a very casual position. I mean, it's once a month essentially. And okay, thank you. Thank you for the direction. I appreciate that.
So are we going to do a resolution for that or is it not required?
So I think Matt kind of dictated it, right? That,
Resolved that the board approve Chair Kenny to create a job description and bring it to the board in September for approval, for further approval.
and it's got to go to the finance
Further
committee.
approval and refer to the cost of it to the finance committee.
So resolved that the board approve Chair Kenny to create a job description and bring it before the board in September for further approval and refer the cost of such position to the finance committee.
I think
Sound
that's
good?
good. Yeah,
That's perfect.
Okay, and then you can go ahead with the
Move and second it.
thank you. That's carried. Excellent.
Just for everyone's awareness, I gotta go at like 2:15, 2:20.
Well, I don't think it's that much to do, because now we're getting onto the speedy part of the agenda, Matt,
Consent
the
agenda.
consent agenda.
Right.
So this is the first time we're using the consent agenda. I know Amanda is familiar with it because I saw your question. I just wanted to follow up on that. Amanda, that little video says that we need a policy, but we don't need a policy.
Necessarily? Okay.
Not necessarily need one. And I think Tom might have waited on that too. And Matt is very familiar with it because he does it all the time at city council. But essentially, these are sort of the routine run-of-the-mill reports that generally don't generate very much questioning. If you do have a question, on one of these reports, we can pull it off. You can ask the question. Everybody else gets to ask the question, then it gets put back on the consent agenda. If you're satisfied. If not, we can move on to the regular agenda and have a full-on discussion about it. So these run-of-the-mill reports that we see regularly at board meetings, is there anything there that anyone has any questions on?
I just wanted to talk to the statistics and see if, I mean, I look at them, I review them and everything. Is there a more meaningful way we can interpret them? Is there a way that we can look at them as a comparison of the overall Sault Ste. Marie population? Or do you know what I mean? Because I constantly find myself thinking, well, how are we actually performing? Like, yes, one thing's down 10%, another thing's up 120%, either year over year or month over month.
Yeah, so I mean, couple things, there's a couple issues we have. We are always behind in our stats because we, just the way the reporting takes
Yeah.
times to clear to the tank. So you're always gonna be a month or two behind in our stats. The comparison year after year, I think, has a far more greater meaning as opposed to
definitely does.
month to month, because often it's, if there's two more occurrences, it changes the stats by 50%. Well, that's not really indicative of what's actually going on. I mean, we can compare it, we can certainly look and dig down into comparison to services our size. I only have so much capacity within my statistical units, so that would have to be year end potentially if we're looking at. I mean, if you kind of give me some indication what you're looking
I
for.
don't even know what I'm looking
Okay.
for, honestly. I read them and I think, okay, great, but am I getting a lot of meaning out of it in comparison to our overall population? Like actual population. So are we crime ridden? Are we not crime ridden? Like how we're looking at it in terms of our overall community.
Yeah, so I mean, the only way we do that is if we start looking at what's happening in other services our size around the province, right? So, which is, I mean, our
Yeah,
comparative.
benchmarking against
Yeah,
that.
against other services there, you know, so you have some other factors there, though. Of course, we have a large kind of indigenous community around us. We are a catchment area for a lot of others, the people that are coming here.
Right.
A lot of our crime, especially when you look at drugs and violent crime, isn't being necessarily perpetrated by people who grew up here. They've come here to do that, so they're not, their addresses are in
Okay,
Toronto, but they're
I
living.
gotcha.
So there's just a lot of
Yeah.
factors. I mean, we can certainly, I'll talk to maybe we can have a conversation. I can talk to my stats people, see what other services are
Yeah.
doing and see if we get, again, you get into, the stats come out from national, statistics and they stat things a little different way than we do as well. So
Right.
they take the most important occurrence from any occurrence and that's what they get statted. So not everything's being captured, right? So, stats are, I mean, they're certainly not my area of
Right, and not to
expertise.
throw more work onto people. I'm just wondering how we can, I just feel like I skim through. I don't know if I'm really processing.
Well, yeah, are we doing good? Are we doing bad? I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
so.
okay. I'll think more about it too, and we can.
Yeah, if we can have some kind of a conversation, I'll reach out to my stats, statisticians that I have. And, I mean, they can do some wonderful things with numbers, but it's not month to month, you're probably gonna have a hard time having that. Year end, we could probably be a little more robust in how we present it to the boards,
Absolutely.
or closer to the year end.
Cool, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. Anything further from the consent? Could I have a mover, please? Amanda, seconded by Matt, and that's carried. Item 7 is the financial update. So Chief or Angela?
I'll defer that to my associate Angela Davey.
So in the package, you have the May 31st, 2026 financial statement from the city. Basically, I just wanted to say that I did the projection for the end of the first quarter. Really, I'm not expecting any change at this point in time, so all things staying the same. We're still in good shape, projecting that small surplus for this year. Again, that can change at any time. I'll be doing my second projection when we have financials at the end of June. So I don't know if the finance committee wants to meet over the summer to go through those or wait till September.
Sure, we can meet over the
Yeah, it
summer.
doesn't bother me.
Okay, but I'd like to present that before we get into board discussions or budget discussions, sorry.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Okay. So really just highlighting here that, and in terms of revenues, a lot of our revenues, we don't get until the end of the year. So we'll see court security grant coming towards the end of the year. We're still waiting for the CSP grants to come out. The call for action for that one. I'm hearing that it's probably gonna be fall before we hear anything about those. And we're fully expecting to get those again. Salaries and benefits, again, we're on track as long as everything stays the same. We have not hired the 4 dispatchers that we budgeted for yet, but that will be coming later in the year, so that will happen. Overtime is still tracking well based on what we budgeted for the year, so as long as nothing offside happens, you should be in good shape there. Court time is always fluctuating. It depends based on what's going to trial, what's going on in the courts. It's ran a little bit high this year. We had some high-level trials earlier in the year. I don't know what that's going to look like for the remainder of the court year. So again, that depends on what happens in the court system. Other than that, our operating capital expenditures are tracking well. There's some transactions that have happened that already affect the whole year and some that don't happen towards the end of the year. So it fluctuates a lot. That's why I do the projection. So basically, I just wanted to reassure the board that at this point in time, things still look the way I presented last month.
beautiful, Angela. That's like music. Any questions on the finance? So I need a mover. That and seconded by Angela, and that is unanimously carried with great thanks to,
Amanda.
what do they call
Angela, it's fine. Everything's
it?
fine.
With Amanda.
Williamson.
You- Everything was wrong
And you
today.
called Lisa
Hutchinson, I heard that. Like you got some
Everyone's,
These are real people
everyone's
though.
English today.
They might not be on this board, but they exist. I'm telling you.
Somewhere they do, yeah.
Oh my God. All right, did we pass that?
Fantastic.
Is that, all right, okay. Oh, great, now I've got something else to speak about. We did the elder advisor. The listening session is, item number 9. This relates back to an incident in the Sioux where there was a trans, social event in the evening. And we heard a rumor that an attendee had been beaten up. And our understanding was that the person had been beaten up because they present as trans. And then when police did a little bit of digging to try and find what in fact had happened, no victim, no crime. So their hands were tied. There was nothing further that police could do. But it just didn't land right, I think, with a lot of people in the community, including me, that did sound right to me. It did sound to me like somebody would be trans, visibly trans, and present as trans and get beat up in this community. That sounds very reasonable and plausible to me. I think that did happen, and I think that does happen. And in terms of a vulnerable group, the common denominator, I think I mentioned this at a board meeting before, but the Journal of American Medicine has indicated recently, just this spring, that there is a 30% higher chance of violence for trans people than non-trans people, which is just abhorrent, based on not a political belief, not an action that they have done, but literally their being is what's causing the violence. So, since that time, I've had an opportunity to talk to the organizer of that trans evening and a couple of other trans, largely they were trans youth. I was saying, how come there's so many trans youth and not that many trans grownups? Because they get killed, because they don't make it. So it's quite a life sentence to have, and it's very important, I think, in terms of bridge building for the community, all aspects of the community. Not just, the $100,000 club with a nice house and nice children and hockey lessons, and the entire community to feel like the police have their back, including the trans community. And I don't know how to do that. I'm not trans, and I don't have a trans person in my family, so I'm learning. But what I have learned, and one of the things I've learned is, much like we heard from Constance, there's a voice that maybe we need to be listening to. So my suggestion was that not a police matter, not a white shirt, but the board, which is distinct. If we were to host a coffee night, and I understand from some of the trans youth that I talked to that they really like Cafe for Good. Spend a lot of time there. That if we were to sit there, a few board members one evening with free coffee for anybody that wants to talk to us about issues, that issue or other issues, we're just listening. And then I thought we could share that with police and have them say, that's nothing we can do about, we're aware of that, or my goodness, that's brand new. We're gonna kind of look into it. But it shows that we're not sitting in a bubble. Police can and must say no victim, no crime. We don't have to say that. We could say, I think there is a victim, but there's sort of a phantom victim, so it takes a little bit more. You can't do that, and you shouldn't do that, but we can do that. So that's my suggestion, and I would like the support of this board because I want anybody that happens to come to that little coffee night to know that this is information that'll go to police, which is a group that largely the trans community, no offense, doesn't trust. So I'm hoping to act as a liaison. With the clear understanding, I'm not police. I can't lay a charge, I won't lay a charge, and you don't need to, but maybe it'll change enforcement, maybe it'll bring some knowledge, maybe it'll help inform police about this, maybe not, maybe you already know it, I don't know. But I think it goes a long ways to show the community, we are not here for white, heterosexual families that make over $100,000 exclusively. We're also here for trans youth and for Indigenous people. And I think it's a great indicator of that. So I'm asking for support to host an evening like that. I'm told that that little coffee shop is a good place to do it. I wouldn't like to go by myself, but I will go by myself. I would like if I had somebody come with me. So that's the ask.
Is this going to be a very specific invitation? Or is it an open, anyone can come sort of deal?
That loose. If you feel like talking, cool. And if you don't, great. And if it's just me and somebody on the board having a cup of coffee, fine. But maybe it takes more than once. Maybe Wednesday nights from 7 to 8:30, there's a little card on the table. And if you've got something you want to say, or maybe I'll hear something and maybe they'll say, it'd be better if you had a little suggestion box and take that because nobody wants to talk one-on-one to you. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in exploring it. The trans youth that I spoke to, a couple of them were like, cool, I'd love that. And then some of them said the courage to speak on behalf of others. And they said, yeah, there's a view that we're concerned about police, that we wouldn't go to police on that, or that it would make things worse for us, that we told police, now they go after the perpetrator. And now I'm really in for it. So yeah, I'm concerned.
I'm all for something like that. I like the idea. I think it's one thing that I took away from like the conference we were just at was getting a public perception of the police. And I think this is one like organic way we can do it instead of hosting like a town hall meeting of some sort. We could do it more being in the community and inviting people to come. So I like it. I'd do it.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thanks for that. I don't think we need anything further on that, right? Because it was just a presentation, but I will talk to that little cafe and then I will write to the board and see if anybody is free to join me for an hour or two or something one evening, and maybe we do it more than once.
How are we promoting it? What are we doing to get the word out? Are we, again, is it, I mean, it could go a myriad of ways. We could get nobody, like you said, and we just have a coffee. Or we could be inundated. So how are we gonna be selective in our?
So the organizer of the trans dance night, that's who I was speaking to. And I would ask him, how do you think it's the best way to get this word out? He was the one that said the Cafe for Good was, he said there's a lot of youth that hang out there. There's a lot of trans youth that hang out there, and it's a very cool, non-judgmental kind of place. And it's very small. So I would ask him, what's the best way to do this? And I think they're sort of onto themselves. I think the word will get out among the group. Yeah.
Okay, but I would also like to have something for the community at large as well. Like, I think that
Sure.
I like the path that you're on, like, I like that. But then again, the community at large, not just segregated, like, you know what I mean?
I mean, can I ask Lincoln if he's got some ideas about how we might utilize social media or something on that?
Service would have to promote anything that's being done. If you
Okay.
have specific nights that you want to I mean, I'm speaking on behalf of the chief position, that's the chief first.
He doesn't know. I want to talk to someone who knows.
Yeah, that's right.
You want the right answer this time.
But yeah, of course, we would support that. I think our survey platform is something we also plan to utilize it to solicit information from the community. That's also a way for people to be anonymous and provide feedback also, so it's a couple different avenues we can go.
I think your suggestion about the trans youth is probably done best the way you suggested, where you make it very small. You
Yeah.
start getting into the community gatherings, you're probably better to open it up and say they're gonna, you're providing an opportunity to come meet the police service board. But we can certainly help with any of that, so, as Lincoln said.
I agree.
More eloquently.
Yeah, far
Yeah.
more eloquently, and, if you only had 31 years of policing experience, you'd be perfect for this job.
Oh, my goodness. Are you satisfied?
I'm satisfied.
Angela? Okay.
Stop.
All right. Okay. So thank you very much. Thanks for that support. I appreciate it. And I truly think it'll make a difference. It's historic. We haven't done something like that at policing. That's a big change.
Madam Chair.
Tom,
Oh, yeah, just a second, if you, your indulgence before you move on. I appreciate the, the intent of like a casual meeting with the community. It's highly likely you're going to attract complaints about the provision of policing and about police conduct. And I'm going to, alert you to, the duty to forward complaints. So you'll need to turn your mind to how you're going to navigate that.
Oh, like we can't just listen and then do nothing.
well, it's got to be a genuine complaint. I mean, they can't just say the cops suck and they haven't been very supportive. If they say Officer Brown, harassed me, that's a genuine complaint. Yeah, if we get an actual complaint, we have to process it the same as if it came in a formal letter to the table. Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right. As long as you turn your mind to it and you have a plan on how you're going to deal with it, then you're all set.
You haven't seen anyone do this before, Tom?
No, I haven't seen this done before. So you're breaking new ground. At least in my experience.
Okay.
Thanks, Tom. And then the next matter just arose. It's one of the reasons why Joe isn't joining us. Is this timing doesn't work for Member Greco. This 1 p.m. on what day is it? Wednesdays. So I don't know that we have to sort it this minute, but it's not. This isn't going to fit him. So if we could canvass other dates, maybe we don't meet again till September. Let's make sure this is immovable. I'm sorry, it's Wednesday at 1, unless there's another time you're not available. We can also have that as the alternate. I think, I don't think we have to do it right now, but Lisa's gonna ask us all for our available times, so that we can accommodate him. That's it. And, is there any new business? We have one piece of new business. Tom, this is your swan song with us, is it?
Yes. Well, thank you again for a minute of the board's time. Yeah, all good things come to an end. I've been, working with this board, my second time around, the board and both your chiefs this time around for 6 years. And myself and advisor Ron LeClaire are switching zones or being reassigned. So I'm not retiring. I'll remain as your backup advisor if when Ron's absent or needs some assistance, and that's where it's going for me. So I'm going to zone 6 back where back home. And I'd like to thank the board and the chief for how open and welcome you've been to the inspector of policing and me in particular. So it's with some sadness that I'm leaving. I didn't see enough of Sault Ste. Marie.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. Thanks for your sage advice and for the support you've provided the service over the years and the board over the years. Well, we will miss you. I'm sure we'll see you again though, and especially if you're alternating with Ron. And I'm sure we'll see you at conferences and stuff. And thank you very much. And for attending the meetings, it really helps keep things on track. So we appreciate your presence, Tom. We appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom, for all the work you do.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Tom.
Thank you.
We'll be chatting over the summer, Tom.
Okay.
The next meeting date, Nuala, September the 30th is Truth and Reconciliation Day.
Right.
Although we're looking at making a change anyhow, but just so that we're aware.
That probably won't stay.
That's not staying anyhow, so, okay.
Need a motion to move into the closed session, please. We're going to talk about some confidential matters in accordance with section 44A through L of the Community Safety and Policing Act. And those specific items relate to litigation, human resources, and some legal matters that are subject to solicitor-client privilege. So could I have a mover to move into closed? Thank you, Amanda. And Matt has seconded, and we'll move into closed. We had a matter, we're back from closed. We had a matter that arose in the closed session with regard to board remuneration. And the discussion was essentially that we are out of step with the legislation. There was a suggestion that we move forward to increase the remuneration to board staff, our board members, excluding municipally elected officials. And I just don't have that in front of me, the little sheet, but it was option B was approved
Yeah.
with no retro payment effective July 1st.
Correct.
And the new rates are?
5,000, 4,035.
In keeping with the legislation.
Yeah. So resolved that the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service Board approve revised annual remuneration for board members as set out in option number 2, effective July the 1st, 2026.
I'm not sure if that report formed part of the agenda,
It did not.
so either we issue an addendum with the report or we just set out what the rates are in the motion.
Okay, I
Thanks,
can
Matt.
set them up in the
I
motion.
think setting up what the
Thank you.
rates are, yeah.
Thank you. And then we're going to lose quorum in a second here. Brent, did you have something?
Can we
Was
get
that
a
for the
mover and a
board?
seconder on that first?
Did you have something to say to the board or just to me?
That's good.
Okay, right, great.
Carries, good.
Carries.
Oh, we're going to adjourn? Amanda, and it's 2:22. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay.